On a lonely farm in Bavaria, 6 people were murdered in a single night, and the killer stayed for days. This isolated homestead was known as Hinterkaifeck. Inside the timber and stone walls lived a family of 5, alongside their single employee. 73-year-old Andreas Gruber managed the daily operations of the farm with his 64-year-old wife, Kazilia. Their widowed daughter, 42-year-old Victoria, also resided on the property, carrying the heavy burden of agricultural labor alongside her aging parents. Under the same roof were Victoria's 2 young children, 7-year-old Kazilia and 2-year-old Joseph. On the final day of March in 1922, they welcomed a new presence to the household. 35-year-old Maria Baumgartner arrived to begin her employment as the resident maid, completely unaware of the fate awaiting her within hours of unpacking her belongings. The physical layout of the property intensified their isolation. Hinterkaifeck sat roughly 500 meters from the nearest village, separated by a dense, silent forest. A narrow, unpaved track crossing a small brook was the sole connection to the outside world. In the harsh winter, this distance meant more than simple geographic separation. It meant absolute silence. No streetlights illuminated the perimeter, and no close neighbors could hear a cry for help. The family lived in a self-contained world of routine and solitude, where visitors were rare, interruptions were non-existent, and any sound would easily be swallowed by the dark woods. 6 months before the new maid arrived, her predecessor, Anna Moser, abruptly resigned and abandoned Hinterkaifeck. Moser stated in her official police testimony that she had heard steady, heavy footsteps pacing across the attic floor at night, accompanied by a persistent sensation of being watched. In late March, the quiet of the homestead was interrupted by a physical intrusion. Fresh winter snow revealed a line of adult-sized boot prints, measuring approximately 30 centimeters, emerging from the edge of the coniferous forest. The tracks led straight across the field, directly toward the farmhouse, before stopping at the door of the machine room, where the lock was later found broken. No returning prints led back into the woods. Within days, the physical security of the household fractured. On March 30th, Kazilia Gruber discovered that the main house key, which hung on a hook in the entrance hallway, had vanished from the farm. The following morning, Andreas Gruber found a copy of the Münchner Neueste Nachrichten newspaper lying on the kitchen table. The family did not subscribe to this Munich daily, and none of them had purchased it. The local delivery boy, Franz Mueller, later testified that the doors were locked when he made his rounds, making the newspaper's appearance inside the home impossible to explain. These documented irregularities accumulated in the final days of March, pointing to a systematic breach of the homestead. An unknown observer was monitoring the property, tracking its routines, and preparing to cross the threshold. Late in the evening of March 31st, 1922, the intruder made their move. The killings began not with chaotic frenzy, but with quiet, methodical precision. One by one, 4 members of the household were drawn from the warmth of the farmhouse out into the dark, timber-framed barn. First, 73-year-old Andreas Gruber stepped into the shadows of the stable block. He was met instantly with a crushing blow to the skull. Minutes later, his 64-year-old wife, Kazilia, followed him into the darkness, only to face the same silent, lethal strike. Then came their widowed daughter, 42-year-old Victoria. She was lured into the barn's side room and struck down beside her parents. The last of the barn's victims was 7-year-old Kazilia, led to the same straw floor where her family lay. With the barn silent, the assailant walked back across the courtyard, stepping over the threshold into the main house. The violence moved indoors. 35-year-old Maria Baumgartner, who had arrived just hours earlier to begin her employment, was killed in her quarters. The last victim was 2-year-old Joseph, struck down as he lay asleep in his cot in his mother's bedroom. Within a span of hours, 6 lives were systematically extinguished. The movements through the tightly enclosed property were highly controlled, leaving no opportunity for escape and no sound that reached the outside world. For 96 hours, Hinterkaifeck fell completely silent. From the morning of April 1st to the afternoon of April 4th, the farm sat undisturbed on its gentle, snow-covered slope, hidden by the dark pine forest. To passing neighbors and the local mail carrier, nothing appeared amiss. The livestock remained in their stalls, the chimney occasionally drifted with pale smoke, and the heavy timber doors remained shut. No one in the nearby hamlet of St. Georg realized that 6 bodies lay cold beneath the roof and under the straw of the barn. This 4-day interval suspended the homestead in a state of quiet isolation, stretching the tragedy far beyond the violent acts of that Friday night. The world continued past the edge of the woods, entirely unaware of the stillness that had settled over the property. While the 6 bodies lay cold beneath the straw and in the bedrooms, life on the farm did not stop. In the days following the violence, the homestead remained functional. Smoke rose regularly from the chimney, visible to neighbors across the snow-dusted fields. Inside, the kitchen stove was supplied with firewood, keeping the rooms warm against the April chill. Someone was moving through the rooms, living alongside the dead. The pantry inventory later revealed that a loaf of rye bread and half a kilogram of smoked pork had disappeared from the shelves. In the kitchen, dirty plates and utensils sat on the table with fresh food remnants, indicating that meals were prepared and eaten long after the family was gone. Outside, the daily labor of the farm continued. The livestock in the dark stables were not left to starve. Neighbors later recalled seeing the cattle tended, and a farmer from a nearby property saw 2 cows led into the barn and provided with fresh hay on the 2nd of April. The farm's daily milk log recorded an increase of 15 liters during this period, showing that someone sat in the stalls, milking the cows in the quiet hours. This deliberate routine suggests a chilling presence. The person moving through the house did not flee in panic. They walked through the tight corridors, stoked the fires, and cared for the animals with an eerie calm, maintaining the outward appearance of a working farm. The intruder had transformed a mass murder scene into an occupied home. The mystery extends far past the moments of violence. It lies in the days that followed, and the realization that someone lived in the shadows of the slaughter. The initial police response was expansive, yet fundamentally constrained by the limitations of 1922 forensics. Chief Inspector Georg Reingruber and his team interviewed more than 100 local residents, farm workers, and travelers, building a massive written archive that ultimately yielded no definitive suspect. At the time, modern tools like DNA profiling were decades away, and latent fingerprint analysis was in its infancy. The physical evidence itself remained incomplete for weeks. The murder weapon, a heavy iron mattock, was not recovered until May 15th, when it was found hidden under the floorboards of the barn loft. Decades of investigation left behind only a series of competing, unproven theories. Some pointed to a robbery, though significant valuables remained untouched. Others suggested personal revenge stemming from local disputes or the random violence of an itinerant traveler. Today, the case remains officially unsolved, its enduring grip on German memory sustained by the dark, quiet isolation of the farm and the chilling reality of what happened in the shadows. To follow more historical mysteries, subscribe to our channel. A century later, the silent Bavarian soil offers no closure, only an enduring shadow. Hinterkaifeck remains a chilling reminder that some horrors are never brought to light, locked forever in the quiet dark. If you want to explore more dark corners of history, please subscribe.